Well, all right. As my former friend Andrew Lee likes to say, let's get this party started, everybody. Happy Friday. Yours truly, Rob Appell from Stitchin Heaven out in Quitman, Texas. Although right now, as I feel like I'm about to choke and cough, I am standing in my lovely home in California. And welcome everybody to Friday Live. Super excited to see all of you out there. To all of my pals and gals I just saw that we're communicating amongst each other. It's such a blessing to see and watch and read what everybody's doing out there. So thank you for being part of our community here on YouTube. Thank you for joining me for this Friday Live. Like I said, all of a sudden I got all choked up. So cover your earphones. Oh man. It's always something. Let's hope that's not, or let's hope that is our only technical difficulty for the day, let's say. And I know if you do read the descriptions that I put together, we're going to do a teeny bit of sewing this afternoon. We haven't done hardly any sewing in the longest time on the live feed, so I thought that'd be a lot of fun. I want to show you this trick. And actually, it has something to do with these two awesome quilts you see standing behind me. You're not seeing double yet. It's the same project done in my new fabrics over here. So we're going to talk about a bunch of those kinds of things. We're going to enjoy the Grateful List. I've mixed some of our announcements today into the Grateful List just to speed up time for our sewing. And I will encourage you all, if it's your first time here, let us know. Let us know where you're coming from. It is a cool 62 degrees right here in foggy Morro Bay. I see some of you are already in the triple digits for the sunny summer, which is kind of fun. And I'm glad you all started up letting us know what the temperatures are. Ooh, did I just see a Scotland go by? How cool is that? Really great. I appreciate that. Appreciate that for everybody being out there. If you have not yet subscribed, make sure you join the club. We're almost to 59,000 subscribers, so I'd love to hit that mark in the near future. So help me do that, please, by subscribing and mostly sharing. I know a lot of you have been following my videos from early way back the man sewing days, but I've been over here having a blast at Stitchin Heaven. Basically got free reign to the content control and having a wonderful time with my sewing and quilting videos and adventure videos and friendship videos and things that we're doing. And so we've got really great programming here, and I'm excited to share that with all of you. Of course, you're here watching, so like I said, share with your friends. Let the folks in your quilt guilds know. Oh, and by the way, if we've got any of our Canadian guild members out there watching, I was super blessed a few days ago. I got to present to a quilt guild via Zoom in Canada, and I thought it'd be fun to dress appropriately here, so I did, and I thought maybe you would all enjoy that. Plus, we do have Canadian Day or Canada Day coming up. I believe it's July 1st, and then Independence Day coming up in the United States on July 4th, and we know we have people from all over the world. Like I said, we just saw Scotland go by. So super fun to be part of the sewing and quilting community. Let's dive into some of the announcements as we go. Oh, speaking of announcements, yes, we also have the Facebook group. I do need to update this picture. I think we're almost to 1,500 members now. So it's on Facebook, So Well Rob Appell. It's a private community, and we'd love to have you join us there. Lots of fun going on out there. Some of the photos in today's show and tell, maybe some of those community members have already seen that. I do try to put up a link in the description for everything I talk about during the videos, because I do know I get a bit caffeinated and can go a little fast sometimes, or just straight up confused, because I think that's what you like about me. I'm not sure. Any rate, so most of the things that I'll be speaking of today, like usual, are found easiest at stitchinheaven.com or by following us on Facebook, other social medias like this right here, YouTube, that kind of thing. So let's go a little out of order today, but something fun coming up. Big news, big news. We've talked about it the last few weeks. The long arm training event from Handy Quilter. That's coming up on October 24, 2024, excuse me, October 16 through 18, 2024. On our website, we have the 3-day lineup for all of our classes, and we're going to have great instructors coming out. We have Karen King and Janelle Metzger coming out to teach all about, like I said, the difference with in ruler work or some of the programming or free motion and all of those kinds of things. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can check that out on our website. This last week on Wednesday, I posted my free motion skill builder, the ice cream swirls, which I think are kind of related to like McTavishing, which is a style of machine quilting that was created by Karen McTavish. a wonderful long arm machine quilter who has really developed her own unique niche and style for the way she quilts her quilts. And so we refer to it nowadays as McTavishing. So pretty rad, Karen, that you get to have your own quilting genre. I think that's neato. Although, Carl, I did see you posting elsewhere, go Team Rob, and I do appreciate that as well. And for those of you who are in the know, Team Rob means that you're a slob. Why does that sound so hard for me to say? No, it just means we're not as concerned about our points matching up or if our threads break or those kinds of things. We're making quilts to have fun. We're making quilts for our therapy. We're making quilts to give away, and guaranteed people will enjoy them even if they are not perfect. Now, I've been doing some study, folks. You might want to practice this excuse. That non-perfection is organic, and we want it to look as much like hand as possible. Right? I've heard that recently, and I think I like it. I do think I like it. Now, as I said earlier, we're going to use the Grateful List, which is something we do each week for fun here, as part of our way to get through some of the announcements today, because they kind of coincide or correspond, whatnot. So let me go ahead and put up the Grateful List for this week. You'll see our 4 items, and the first one is recycling. Now, recycling is very important to the planet, kids, and I want to let you know that my wife and I had been discussing using some recycling in the kitchen last week. Now, you had followed the counter wars, we called them, and we were trying to figure out what to do. We put in the new floors, and we were trying to figure out how to deal with this countertop area and this bar post area, and I really just wanted to use the old cabinet doors, and my wife said no. So folks, we have a solution. Okay, so I think we actually have all settled on loving the original countertop. And the fun part about it is it's been recycled and slightly modified to fit in what we were doing. So yeah, that was the countertop that was sitting outside. I had it on the free list all week. And by using it, it allows us to put the coffee machine back with the floating shelf that holds coffee cups. Gives us all the bar space we wanted. I've notched it to fit around the post there. And I have just one last modification to make, which is to round the corner and finish out this space. And this space here is where the original space there was connected. So I just cut it off, put it back, and then I will secure it to the post. And I think we've got a wonderful bar that matches and actually helps brighten up this space. I think we needed that contrast. So just like on our quilts, folks, contrast counts, don't forget. Anyways, there it is. Thanks for all of your comments and suggestions, but I think we're going to go with the recycled countertop. So what do you think about that, huh? What a fantastic solution is that recycling. And at the moment, of course, I'll only invest a few more dollars to make sure it's completely leveled and secured to that post. Therefore, down the road, if we choose to not stay with that countertop, we still had in our budget the investment, and of course we were never going to use the cabinet doors. We want to do something really neat, and in speaking to a few friends, they actually mentioned that a butcher block might be too much wood in that area. So again, it's just always fun to come up with a solution like that that's a zero cost or very, very low cost solution to begin with. So therefore I can work out of that. I guess the quilter in my heart truly came out in the use of that countertop over again. So I'm pretty excited about that. And now back into the Grateful List, folks, we go. So that was recycling. Now the second is quilting events. And not only are quilting events super exciting, but we have a ton of them coming up. In the link in the description, it'll be under travel, or if you go to our website, under travel. But we do retreats, land ahoy, quilting cruises, and all kinds of things. But also I want to mention, and this is from the homepage right now, the Jungle Magnolia is a new technique of the month. Folks, Stitchin Heaven in Quitman, Texas is a QuiltWorks certified shop. We have certified instructors on board, and we do retreats and classes focused around QuiltWorks and Judy Niemeyer and Judel Niemeyer. They even come, I believe it's every other year, and spend a couple days with us. So what you're looking at now are several of the quilt kits. I believe we have about 15 in total that are all beautiful QuiltWorks quilt kits. And I just thought it'd be really fun to let you all know that we are a QuiltWorks certified store. We also have posted a video on YouTube. It was kind of a secret treat for all of you. That's some really great interviews and about the quilting retreat, the quilting retreat center we have, and the experiences that go on there. So really, really fun there. And we do actually have a few retreats that have just a couple of seats left in them in the very near future. So if you've got that bug to come quilting with us, July 17th through 21st, that's right, just around the corner is Maxine Rosenthal retreat with Nancy Miller, and we'll be working on the One Block Wonder panel quilts, and it's really fantastic. Now folks, you do have to forgive me. I was noticing today that on our website it actually said that the registration closed May 1st for that retreat. So if some of you have been trying to sign up and you did not because you saw that it was closing May 1st, I apologize. We do have a few seats left, and of course we would love to have you come and join us for that retreat. So just contact Stitchin Heaven, info@Stitchin Heaven. You can call us on our phone number there. Reach out right away and let us know. You can even email me, rob@stitchinheaven.com, and I'll put you in the right hands. I would hate to think that you missed out on the retreat because we had a few seats still open after that May deadline. So at any rate, it is open for you, and we have a couple more coming up I was going to talk about. Of course, mine and many of the fans you see in here interacting today from the community will be there, which is amazing. So August 7 through 11, I think I have 3 total seats left. So about a month and a half from now, you can join us, and we're going to be doing a fabric fusions. So patchwork backgrounds, building and learning why about patchwork backgrounds, and then how to do applique, and I can teach you how to make and design your own applique, or you can work from some of the kits we have available. We also have coming up in September, the 11th through 15th, the Sherry Noel retreat. And Sherry is one of our fantastic instructors that does a lot with us. And recently we just posted a super cool update on Facebook about Sherry's cruising experience. So Sherry Noel was on the cruise, a quilting cruise, just the week before the Patriot cruise. And so it was kind of fun. A lot of the Stitchin Heaven team, the marketing team, kind of passed over each other there in Galveston as we disembarked or re-embarked to continue our events we were doing in the last month. And so at any rate, we captured some great videos, and happened to be that Sherry was one of the educators on that. So you can get a great feel, and the folks that have been commenting, thank you for all of your support and the positive things you're saying. Yes, the video that Elijah did is really well done, but Sherry is such a just beautiful inspiration and rainbow of energy, I believe was one of the comments. So at any rate, folks, we appreciate you participating in all that we put out there for you. Thanks again for that, and hopefully you'll be able to come. If you haven't met Sherry or myself in person, or any of our other great instructors we have, again, the links are on the website. You can look up all of our roster. If you have a little bit of free time this summer or into September, maybe you want to bomb on through Quitman, Texas and hang out with us. Okay, so that was Quilting Events, and I mentioned sunny summer, which is the fact that it wasn't actually getting too hot out here, but we've had some nice days and the gardens are growing and things. But unfortunately, when I first tuned in, I noticed many of you were talking about how hot it was, and out there in your hometowns. And I was even laughing with my friend Carl while he was sending me some pictures to post via email, and he was telling me that the thunderstorms were going on and he wasn't able to get as much quilting done as he wanted, and partially that was because his cat continued to sit on the quilt, which we all know cats always will do, which is sitting on our quilt. So sunny summer, it is summer days, and I also refer to the new woman that moves into my house, the former school teacher. We call her Summer Jenny, and she is always off to no good and having all kinds of fun. So my wife, if you hear her running through the background or something, yes, she loves her summer vacation as well. So Summer Jenny is somewhere in the rest of the home, and you'll all... Not that kind of home, folks. I know what you're thinking. At any rate, and here we go. The last and not least by far is the New Worlds. And so with New Worlds coming up next week is going to be the tutorial on the Borrowed Time quilt. And Borrowed Time is a free pattern. There should be a link today, and I put it up last week, to the Benartex website. That's where you download the free pattern. Fabrics will start to ship from and will be posted online very, very soon at Stitchin Heaven, July 3rd or 4th, I believe, maybe July 1st. And that's something that I'm super excited about. But I also want to point out, and I think I forgot to mention it last week, but folks, if you go now and you can see I had just actually put in Rob Appell patterns in the search engine, we are now offering some digital downloads from my patterns. That was a request that many of our international viewers had for us, and we wanted to do our best that we could for you all, or excuse me, I messed that up, all y'alls out there, and get you some digital downloads. Now, some of my patterns include very large format appliques, so I can't do those as a digital download, or maybe I should say I haven't figured it out yet. But the patchwork-based patterns, and we have several of them available, so we're now offering more digital downloads for you, especially those of you who like to quilt in the middle of the night and finish one pattern and start another in the middle of the night. The benefit of the digital download, folks, is there's no waiting around and there's no shipping costs, right? You can get them, and especially to our family overseas out there. There are so many of you quilters that follow along on YouTube and Facebook that are not from the United States, and the domestic cost of postage or international cost of postage gets outrageous. And so yes, digital downloads are something that many of you have asked for via the personal emails and whatnot. And so thank you very much for those requests. We have a bunch. So if you ever see on a page where you see multiples, just make sure you know what you're looking at, whether it's going to say patterned or digital download for you. We'll let you know what you're getting there. I think that's pretty dang cool. Now, I did mention Carl and his show and tell, so let's do that now, folks. Happy summer days, and I think I'll start with a Christmas quilt. Thanks, Carl. Christmas quilts. Although, funny enough, we all know it is quilting Christmas in July season, and so I thought this would be a fun one to lead with. And I think Carl may be double dipping, but we love him so much we're going to let him show another. Or this now may be the quilting in this quilt, or maybe he added some applique or something to do. I feel like I've seen this quilt before, Carl, but maybe it's just because you and I are good friends and you've shared it with me personally. This individual here, I'm very fond of. This is what happens to so many of us pet lovers in the middle of the day, and I think that this handsome devil here has quite the personality. I have forgotten his name, Carl, so will you please put his name or her name in the comments so we can all celebrate your nice gray kitty there with you. And once again, buddy, congratulations for a beautiful quilt top. Folks, this is one of the 2 quilt kits that was available during our 2024 New Year's Day mystery quilt. Carl himself is a veteran, and so he chose, I'm assuming he chose the red, white, and blue. He likes to make veterans quilts as well. And so at any rate, this is one of the fun examples of some of the online workshops or classes or events we do, and really exciting to see this. So it looks like Carl has it basted and ready to go, and I think that's might have been when he reached out to me to share his frustrations that the power was going in and out due to bad power storms out there in Florida. So I have a couple of other things on the table I want to share. I did mention while we were going pretty quick through some of the announcements and I was celebrating about that Newer Worlds fabrics, here is the digital download for borrowed time. Like I said, you may want to print this out over the next few days because that video will be available Wednesday and we will have those fabrics available. There are 18 total fabrics now in the collection between New Worlds and Newer Worlds, and we have Newest Worlds and hopefully Neutral Worlds still to come. Folks, I thought I was being clever in the way I named them, and I apologize. I should have just called it all New Worlds to make it easier. But there were 9 prints in the first release New Worlds and then 9 in the Newer Worlds, but they're all designed to go very well together. And so we're having some fun, and to celebrate this starting right now, we're going to have a couple of things on discount. And one of the things we want, how can I put this, put on discount for you all is this quilt kit. Okay, so we've got the quilt kit right now through the weekend at $20 off. It's called the Synergy Remix, and it comes from the Splice Magic book. So here's Splice Magic book, and this is what it looks like. And that's actually the quilting demo I'm going to do for you all here in just a few moments. I'm going to show you the basics of making a Splice Magic block. Here are a couple of the quilts that you can learn from the book. Just really neat here. And look at the quilting in that one. And then here again, a very basic use of, and the baskets. So the Splice Magic book features several different projects, but they're all built off of one super cool quilting or sewing patchwork technique. So I want to share that with you all in a few moments. I've got the camera set up over here so you can see these are the actual fabrics that come in the kit. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oop, not quite where I wanted to zoom to. But you can see just a little bit more. There's a little bit richer, not quite so limey as the original fabrics I used on the background. You can see there's some of the quilting and everything, and just really excited about that project there. And again, it features 9 of the new worlds. It doesn't have newer worlds yet in there, but of course, if you wanted to mix and match, you could, because I'm going to teach you how to do it real quick. And I'm looking down and I see here, folks, I've got one more thing we need to discuss here as an announcement. And I'm thinking I might be a little ahead of schedule, and I'm thinking that the comment I saw in the Arabella Block of the Month Facebook group might have been a little ahead of schedule, but it was referring to this patchwork star block being trimmed down to a 10.5-inch square. Whenever instructions like this call for that, and again, this is next month's block, so I just realized as I went to answer this question a few moments before the cameras went live that I might be a little ahead of schedule, but it's a good answer to provide at any time. The pattern here says make 10 of these, make 4 of these at 10.5. And what that means, folks, especially to our new quilters out there, is that the raw block now needs to measure 10.5 by 10.5, so that later on, when it goes into the quilt, it becomes a 10-inch square in the quilt. Always follow the instructions, and they're generally speaking are going to be talking about the size you're cutting to at the unit you're at. So right now we're building a quilt top from several different blocks if you're following our Arabella Block of the Month series. So on Arabella, we haven't built the quilt. So these right now are units, and so they're going to include the seam allowance. I hope that helps a little bit for understanding for some of you out there that are brand new to quilting, or just, it's one of those things that we often get confused in conversation, especially if we're talking about it versus looking at it. Written instructions, it can be a little bit easier, because just remember, where are you at in the pattern at the moment? And that's what the instruction should be referring to, or the size or the trim or the cut information should be referring to, is where you're at that moment in the pattern. And Arabella being a block of the month, we have many more months until we start talking about the finished size of the project. All right, time for a glass of water, and maybe we should do a quick comments check before I dive in to the demonstration. I do believe I mentioned that the quilt kit was $20 off. The book right now is 20 bucks, basically $19.99. I think that's $5 or $6 off. And I'm going to do a quick questions check. I see a lot of you are enjoying communicating amongst yourselves, and I love that. Oh, is Jane out there? I love Jane. Hey, Jane. Okay, and excellent. Oh, I see somebody coming in from Hawaii, but I don't see questions yet, so I'm going to dive right back into the video. Okay, so to make this kind of project over here, we're really working out of rectangles that start from squares, and we're really working from units that consist of 1 large and 2 small half-square triangles, and we create them all in the same piecing, which is really cool. So you're going to need squares, and let's make a couple of these together today, and we're going to go right sides together. So I'm again and just trying to have some fun with our red, white, and blue themes. Now I did take a moment and I pre-drew a diagonal line on my blocks on the back of the red. I'm not sure if you can see this or not as I begin prepping out my fabrics right sides together. And then the first step for you chain piecers out there is we're just going to go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance right along the chalk line. So today's chalk line will be the sewing line versus the guiding line. And if you're going to do these chain piece style, I want to have my needle down. We're just going to go ahead and stitch these through. Machine sounds so quiet, I almost don't know if it's threaded. Nancy, are you having the same problem with your machine being too quiet? It's the worst problem ever. You don't know if it's threaded because it runs so smooth. It's like driving a Prius. Who would? Kidding, my wife does. Summer Jenny drives a Prius too. All right, here we go. Sewing down all of these lines. Let me just make a couple of them so I can show you the way they come together. What are you, in some sort of a hurry today, folks? It's Friday afternoon. Where have we got to be other than our sewing rooms? Okay, so I'm going to use that. Let's slow down so you can see what's happening here. Now I just use my thread cutter on the sewing machine to cut the blocks apart from the chain piecing. Now, again, I just stitched down the chalk side, or I stitched down on the chalk line of all of these blocks. Now the key is we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the 2 flat sides, but on 1/2 of the diagonal line on each block. So now, as we go to the machine, what I like to do here, and I'm just going to use my foot because these are going to still be trimmed. So I'm using my foot, the outside edge, as my 1/4 inch. I'm going to sew through, needle down, pick it up, rotate. Now this one is going to be finished. So I just stitched the outside 2 edges on one side of the diagonal closed, following the splice magic technique. Okay, and if you've seen my friend Tiffany Hayes and I teach together on our New Year's Day events, like Carl's wonderful red, white, and blue quilt, she's the one who helped come up with this technique. And it's super, super cool. Again, I'm just chain piecing, so we have several of these to play with and look at. All right. Now again, we're just going to cut these free here, and I've stitched on all of the outer edges of one side. Okay, and now what we're going to do is take a ruler that is larger, and we want to go ahead and cut through the threads that were on the outside as we cut the diagonal with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So what happens is, and I do all the bigs first, is I cut here. Actually, that's not true. I forget that it's so easy. Then we rotate because there's a straight line here and there's a point right there. So I'm going to take my straight line across the bottom. Let's give you overhead camera again, folks. Straight line across the bottom, lined up with the tip, and I cut. But because we're going to use our slotted trimmer, I'm leaving them untrimmed at the moment. Okay? Thread here, so I'm cutting through that. This way, rotate. Find your perpendicular line across the bottom. I love that, geometry words. And trim. Make sure you're cutting through the threads on the outside edges to ensure you're getting triangles on the right sides that you need. I'm just going to heat up my iron real quick. Oh, got going too fast. And let's do this last one together. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comments. I will check here in just a few moments to see how you're all doing, following along. And again, I want to go right through the tip of the threads, across those threads up there. Okay, and then now what I normally do is I just take the time to stack them up. And they're like groupings. Okay, just like this. So these are technically half square triangles right now. And they will remain half square triangles. We're just going to make them into more of a rectangular unit. And then I like to use my slotted trimmer. Okay, and so I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, I think I forgot to tell you. I know these were 5-inch squares to start with. So I'm going to trim these small ones to 2.5. And a lot of times I'll just trim off the one side on the smaller units and eyeball for the dog earring. And the big ones will be trimmed to 4.5 because we know that 2 2.5s when stitched together will match up to a 4.5. Okay. Get those ready for pressing here in a second. And then the big ones are going to be did, like I said, at 4.5. But because it's a little larger and I want all of it to be as accurate as possible, I'm going to cut both sides. Sounds like I could use a new blade, folks, and you know how I feel about new blades. Definitely want to get new blades. And then a lot of times we can use the actual threads that remained there to work as our eyeball for trimming these down. So just don't get going so fast that you're using any of the lines wrong, because these slotted trimmers have all of the numbers you need on them. Okay, let's trim out a couple more of those and I'll show you how you can work with them. And then if we need more, we'll trim the last few down. Again, when they're small like this at the 2.5, a lot of times you can line up the two edges, the thread I should say, and the one outside edge. And you'll need 2 smalls for every 1 large to create the units if you're following along in any of these patterns. If you're doing your own thing, then, well, you can do your own thing, because that's what doing your own thing is all about. Now, unfortunately, when it comes down to how to piece these in this project, you can see they actually match up in the center in kind of opposite directions. And so there's not really much of a consistency. So I'm just going to press all of my fabrics to 1, and we're just going to press to the reds today. Carl, why are you typing the word coffee? That's distracting. Are you going to make a coffee? Now I want coffee. It's almost coffee time. What did I miss? Nancy, when you say yes, you love it, is that yes, you love how quiet your sewing machine is? I hope that's what that refers to. Okay. So now, folks, what I was referring to is if you're following, and I have tutorials out for this actual project. So if you want to take advantage of the sale price on the kit, we already have the instructional videos up there. It's called Synergy Remix. And actually, it's the one I did in the break-in to the one I spent the night in the shop video too. So at any rate, what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to working with these units now, if you're following the quilt behind me, generally each unit's going to have the same direction for both the smalls and the bigs. So once they're trimmed down, they can be taken and stitched together. And at this point, you want to make sure you're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which I can't necessarily guarantee that I just did, because I didn't put the edge guide back on. If you're like my friends Tiffany and my former friend Andrew, he'll press those edges over, where for me, I'm just going to do pressing to one side, but you can see now they fit so nicely together like that. So this is basically one of the units, and it's super fun to do and make. But I'm sure you can guess there's more than one way to arrange this quilt or skin this cat. And so at any rate, this is what I did, or was instructed to do, to create these blocks. And they actually go in 4 different ways. So you can't just piece them all to begin with. But as you build these out, you can see you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Here, I'll even show you real quick. This here is that fun heart layout. And I did a freestyle heart video a while back, and I believe I used this technique, whether I said it or not. And again, that would be trimmed down normally, but I just want you to be able to see and enjoy. I'll probably mail these blocks here to my former friend Andrew Lee, the combat quilter, so he can trim them down. He loves it when his friends send them parts to fix, such as 1-inch bindings and all kinds of different stuff. So at any rate, there are the way you would make your heart blocks. Overhead, please. Thank you very much. And then, of course, you could do all kinds of different things. You know, you could always take, I don't know, what can we do? If you're really playing around, you could do like a bear's paw with them and leave another block out here, right? So you could leave another blank block out here that you could pick up out of the stash. And of course, like I was starting to show earlier, there are all kinds of really, really cool quilts that all go together. So now that I say this again, it's kind of interesting. When you look at that, you're thinking, how do they manipulate those squares? Well, this one here makes a little more sense. There's all the small ones in the middle and the big ones around the outside. There's the heart I just shared with you. And so like again, the basket, that's going to use some of the small ones and the big ones, and then you could applique on top of. But yeah, this one's really fun. So you may definitely want to check out that Splice Magic book. We thought it'd be really fun to, sorry, I'm reading Carl's comments. We thought it would be really fun to put it up on the special this weekend to help celebrate the launch of the New Worlds fabrics that's coming out next week for all the quilt shops out there, because it's the fabric I've designed and we love having this quilt behind here. Okay, so you all want to know the story behind why Andrew Lee is referred to as the former friend. I know he's out there listening. I know Carl's out there listening. Carl, you actually know this answer, my friend. It's because of his participation in the New Year's event. Andrew is one of my dearest friends. Now, my best friend's a Marine, but he is one of my dearest friends. And so with Andrew, you have to understand his love and passion for quilting. I think really it stems from his love and passion for precision and accuracy in everything he does. And so maybe that's why we like to call him sharpshooter. We don't know. At any rate, so Andrew is definitely, well, here, let me just show you. He's Team Tiffany, which is the passion for precision shirts that are awesome. And so he has sent me on multiple occasions pictures of him wearing his Team Tiffany Hayes, the passion shirt, or the passion for precision shirt from multiple events. So that's why I refer to him as my former friend. If you follow the show, we love our inside jokes around here and we encourage you to participate in them. And as a matter of fact, please, you might want to even check out the newest videos from Arabella. You can see that my passion has not changed, but my precision levels are dropping. And as you know, we love to have fun with our quilting and our sewing and our support for other quilters out there here at Stitchin Heaven and at Sew Well with all of that. So Andrew Lee, like I said, is a dear friend of mine, even though my best friend is a Marine, and we have so much fun together. And all of you out there are so many in the comments today. You know, it's just awesome to see my dear friends, my new quilting friends out there following along and supporting the videos. It's just so much fun. So I feel like I've gone a little long today, but I wanted to do some fun sewing for you all because I just wanted to do some fun sewing for myself. I'm actually going to start working this afternoon. I can't show it yet because I don't want to get you too encouraged, but it's another Tiffany Hayes pattern called Delta, and it's going to be awesome with the new fabrics as well. So I'm going to treat myself to that for the rest of the afternoon, I believe, and then as soon as we finish our chores on Saturday morning, I'm going to get that countertop officially secured and have our kitchen remodel project all said and done. So let me go ahead and check here, folks, and make sure that everybody has gotten their questions answered. Again, I just so appreciate you all being here with me today. It is so much fun. Super cool. My goodness, is that made by Misty as in Misty Doan out there? If you're still here, Misty, let us know. We would love to send you some support. How great. New show's awesome. I think that's who that was, folks. You know, you just never know who's going to make a cameo on your show like that. You just never know. Pretty cool. All right. Looks like we've got oh, Katrina, you got some storms. They're nasty out there today. And did we get the name on that cat? I think we did. Was it Pat the cat that came by, or Patsy? Where was that, Carl? We need to make sure everyone knows your cat's name. Too many comments here. Can't find them. Is it Lucy the cat? It's Lucy. Okay, that's right. Boom, there it is. Fantastic. All right, my friends. I love it. Yes. Andrew's always on the bad list. I love it. Thank you, folks, for participating today. Thank you for following along. Make sure you take advantage of the sale on the quilt kit and on the Splice Magic book. If you have an interest for that, like I said, plenty of tutorials up and about, and enjoy the next coming tutorials. I've got one more down the road on the free motion machine quilting, but like I said, next week we'll be taking a little break from that and putting together the full quilt for the borrowed time. I think you're really going to dig it. And until I see you on Wednesday, folks, thanks again for spending the afternoon with me.